Well, good evening or good morning, wherever you may be. My name is Marisol Colquitt, author of Finding True Love Online, a Christian Woman's Guide to Online Dating. Is an ebook currently on sale on Amazon for a meager price of $3.99. It's been the best price for the past 30 days, so you might want to grab it now while it's at that price. The book is packed full of insights and share my own story, how I found my own true love online. It addresses a lot of controversial topics, which one of which I'm gonna discuss tonight, and a lot of questions that might be plaguing you, because I know that there's a taboo. A lot of people still think that online dating is taboo or a taboo topic. So you're probably struggling about finding somebody to talk to about it, or maybe you are online dating right now but you don't want to talk to anybody about it because, again, you're scared of being judged. So I feel you, I hear you, and I see you. So if you want to know that you're not alone, I really encourage you to grab a copy of that book now. I'm still working on the paperback copy. Hopefully in the next 2 weeks it's gonna be available. Well, let's see. Well, it's still in the works. It's taking longer than I anticipated. But then again, you're considering going online, if you've really been praying for somebody, you've been praying your whole life, you've been faithful, and you're frustrated and you're almost at the brink of giving up, and you probably preserved yourself like I did, and you wonder, what am I preserving myself for? Because I've been waiting for like 10 years, 20 years. And I actually talk about that in the book of women who have been waiting, and they've been faithfully serving God, but still no prospect. So I want you to know that there is hope at the end of the tunnel. You may feel like you've been forgotten. You may feel like you've been abandoned by God. But I want you to remember that God will never leave us nor forsake us. Sometimes it's really hard going through the tunnel, but I assure you there is a light at the end of the tunnel. And when you reach the end of the tunnel, you will realize that it's been worth the wait. And while you were in the tunnel, God has been carefully pruning you and molding you into the man, a woman of God. He wants you to be ready for the one that God has prepared for you. Speaking of the one, that's what actually I'm going to talk about tonight. So the big question is there really such thing as the one? And is it really true that there is somebody created just for us? Well, I want you to find out by reading the book, but also, through this video. I discuss it in more detail in the book. So, like, you probably have heard this teaching that there is one person created just for you. And to be honest, I grew up in a church. I became a Christian. I was already a professing Christian when I joined this group. It was really a small group of students in my university at a time, and they were led by a fellow student. And honestly, he was really eloquent. I hung at his every word, and they were really deep Christians. At least that's what I believed. In terms of lifestyle, I really believe that they were really deep. But in terms of theology, I wasn't sure anymore. At the time, I was like, wow, really impressed. But anyway, we all have a tendency to misinterpret the Bible. That's why it's so important to have somebody overseeing us. So I honestly don't know if somebody was overseeing the senior pastor of that group in my university. But anyway, long story short, one day I became a real Christian, meaning I truly understood the gospel, what Jesus did for me through this group. And one day I heard it preached that there's one person created just for you. And because I didn't know any better, and I was reading the Bible, but I wasn't exactly double checking what was being preached. I just read it. I just read the Bible for my own pleasure. So um, I believed. I believed that doctrine for probably the next 20 years of my life until I came to Dubai. Well, actually, not that long. Actually, not really. Sorry, no, not 20 years, but probably 10 years or less. I'm thinking about how long it's been since I graduated from college. So I always believed that there was one person created for me, so I thought that I didn't have to worry where I was gonna live, where I was at the time, because I know that wherever I was, if and when the one for me crossed paths with me, he'll know that I'm the one for him, and I'll know that he's the one for me. So every time a guy came, even if it's a Christian, I was very dismissive because, like, oh, I don't think he's the one. But what I was actually doing was finding fault with each man that came, and just to make sure, just to say, oh, he's not the one for me. So I was either a fighter or a flee or flight, a flee or fight person, or flight or fight person, meaning if I begin to like a guy, I'm going to do everything to get rid of the guy. So either I'll start avoiding the guy, or I'll find fault with him and start criticizing the guy so that he'll leave me alone. And yeah, I might be giggling, but it's not really funny. I've heard a few guys, I've made a few men cry, and I'm not proud of that, but it was stemming from the fact that I had the wrong doctrine, but really more to do with my insecurity. I had a lot of other issues that I had to deal with. So I believed this doctrine that there was one guy created just for me. I had no clue whether I was in America, whether I was from the Philippines, whether I was in Asia or Europe. I really wanted him to be in Europe because I really wanted to live in Switzerland, my dreamland, or my dream country, my favorite country, or Europe, my favorite continent. So I always believed that, and it's always looking out for the guy, for my one, but he just never seemed to show up. And then I joined this evangelical church in Dubai, and they, on Fridays, which is like the Sundays in Dubai or the Middle East, they had a class or a Bible study, or a small, I forgot the name already, but every Friday before the actual service, we had a Bible study class. There would be like 2-3 classes going on, so that one class would be about marriage, one class would be about theology, or I guess discipleship, probably. I'm sorry, it's been a while since I've left that church, but anyway, so naturally I gravitated towards love and relationship, or slash marriage, because I really wanted to know more. I was just hungry for knowledge. And this young guy, he was really a cool guy, and I thought he was very knowledgeable, and he very young too, just like I think fresh out of college, but I thought he was mature for his age. And he said that there's no such thing as the one. I was like, what? I practically wanted to run out of the room, because it's like, how could you say that? I believe that all my life. I mean, all my Christian life, all my adult life, ever since I left college, that's what I've always believed in. Suddenly you're telling me that it's not true. How could you say that? I wanted to shout, I wanted to scream, I wanted to run. But something in me stayed put. I felt like I believe it was the Holy Spirit telling me, just, stay, just listen, just watch. And the guy went on and said, no, there's no such thing as the one. You will know when he or she is the one when you marry the one, meaning it's up to you to decide to marry the guy, and then he is the one because you married him, you married her. So that's why he or she is the one, but not because God created one for us. And then one thing that also caught my attention was when he said that God brings us prospects, but it is up to us to decide who to marry. I was like, what? It was like mind blowing. Like, what? Like, what on earth is he talking about? I couldn't wait to get out of the room, not because I hated what he was saying. It was like, I was really mixed up. Like, what am I gonna do with this? I had to process it. I needed time to, get away and process it myself. So later that night when I got home, I opened up the Bible and like, where is it saying? I really need to I didn't want to hear it from him. I didn't want to hear it from my pastors way back in college anymore. I don't care anymore what people told me. I just want to find out for myself if there's such thing as the one. And you know what? God is so good. He led me to 1 Corinthians 7:39. A wife is bound by law as long as her husband lives. But if her husband dies, she is at liberty to be married to whom she wishes, only in the Lord. No, it's crystal clear. Like, a wife is bound to her husband by law. Of course, naturally. Remember, God hates divorce. So as long as you're married to your wife or your husband, you have to be together. You're bound. There's nothing you can do about it. If you want to be separated, hopefully for the right reasons, hopefully it's infidelity, then yes, that's grounds for divorce. Then go get divorced. But as long as you're bound to your husband or wife, you can't go out with another man or a woman. You can't go, oh, let me try and maybe this girl will be. Actually, a guy did that, with me. I was like, he is good looking, he's smart, and seemingly successful. I met him during a trip, and I was like, wait a minute. I know that he was seemingly contemplating leaving his wife, but he asked me out twice at least, and I was like, yeah, I'm flattered by the fact that that I caught your attention, but hey, you're still married, so why on earth would I go out with you if I know that you're married? It's like, I might just, in the meantime, you're just gonna try. So if you or anybody who is going out with a married man or a married woman, please stop whatever they're doing, or tell them to stop whatever they're doing, because again, the Bible clearly says a woman is bound to her husband by law. Okay, as long as her husband lives. But if her husband dies, she is at liberty to be married to whom she wishes. This is the eureka moment for me, when it's like, she is, in other translations says, she can marry whomever she wishes. Like, whomever? How can that be the one when she can marry whomever? Because if she's been married before, then if you look at the one theology, then she already married the one. So if she can marry anyone she wishes, then how many the ones can she possibly marry? Could that be, would that mean that the next guy she marries, that's gonna be the second the one? Or the third guy, like look at what's her name? Elizabeth Elliot. One of the most revered authors. I really love her. She's as a writer, as an author, I really love her books. But she's married. She's been married 3 times. So does it mean that she had three the one? So anyway, as you can see, no matter how you go around it, there's no getting around it. There is no such thing as the one, because again, you can't possibly marry whomever you wish if you can only have one person. Okay, so again, from this moment on, when I read it, it's like, it's true, the guy was right. The thing that I believed in all my life, all my adult life as a Christian, the past 10 years or so, I realized was totally wrong. And then another key word or another key phrase that jumped up at me was this: only in the Lord. So there's only one condition here. Well, kind of two, because you have to be married. If you're married, you're bound to your husband or your wife. First condition, but second condition, only in the Lord. So meaning, you can marry whoever you wish, as long as he or she is a Christian, as long as he or she is a believer. So anybody who tries to tell you otherwise is lying. Anybody who tries to tell you otherwise is prophet lying. Anybody who tells you otherwise is not being biblical. Because I've heard of people, I actually knew somebody who said, I know that he's not a Christian, but I believe God told me to marry him, and I will prove it to you 10 years from now. Well, 10 years have come and gone. I don't think they're still together today. But this is what I told her. You know what? I'm attending your wedding. I'm going to your wedding, but I need to tell you this. God never goes against his word. I do not believe that God's going to tell you to marry somebody who's ungodly and never gives his life to Christ. I know of people who married somebody, but they actually who went out on a date with somebody, but before they got married, the person actually gave his or her life to Christ. Now again, I'm not encouraging you to do that, because that's really an exception to the rule. It's by the grace of God. Do not test God. Do not mock God. And do not say, well, others have done it. A few have done it. But that's not a reason to follow their footsteps. Our benchmark will always be the Bible. Our standard will always be the Bible. So hopefully that kind of answers the question. Is there really such thing as the one? I mean, not kind of, but if you want to know more, if you want to read more about this same topic, I encourage you to grab a copy of my book, Finding True Love Online, A Christian Woman's Guide to Online Dating. Again, it's an ebook right now, very cheap, $3.99. You don't have to have a Kindle account. You just have to have an Amazon account. Once you pay for it, it opens up right away, and you can read it on your tablet or on your phone or on your desktop. And it's so easy to read. It's in a first person narrative, so that you would feel like I'm right there with you, letting you know my struggles, so that and my mistakes, so that you don't have to make the same mistakes that I did. And I pray that wherever you are, whatever you're going through, I pray that God will minister to you, and the Holy Spirit will let you know that you are loved, that you're not alone, that God has not forgotten you, God has not abandoned you. You are worthy, you are loved, and you are worth waiting for, and you're partner, your future spouse is worth waiting for. God loves you, and Jesus is Lord.